Unlocking the secrets. Inside the spaceship, the team of scientists had waited for hours, staring at the strange object on the ocean floor. Deep beneath the surface, far away from civilization, they had finally located something that could change the world forever. A spaceship. It wasn't just any ordinary find. This spacecraft was unlike anything they had ever seen before. Its sleek, metallic surface shimmered faintly in the dark waters, its design so alien that it almost seemed to belong to another world. But the real mystery was yet to come. As the massive submersible slowly approached the spacecraft, the crew's anticipation was almost unbearable. The atmosphere inside their vessel was tense. The team leader, Dr. Harrison, was the first to speak, his voice trembling with excitement and caution. "Are we sure this is it? Is this really what we think it is? I've never seen anything like this on any of our scans," replied Emily, the chief technician. Her fingers hovered over the control panel, carefully maneuvering the submersible closer to the ship. The closer they got, the more questions filled her mind. Could this really be a spaceship from another world? The scientists had already scanned the object multiple times, but the readings were all over the place. The materials weren't anything they recognized. It wasn't something made by humans. The thought of it being alien in origin seemed more and more likely, but no one dared to speak it aloud. They needed proof. Finally, the submersible made contact with the outer shell of the ship. It was smooth, almost unnaturally so. It didn't have the barnacles or algae you might expect from something submerged for so long. It was pristine, as though it had just been built yesterday. Emily ran her hands over the controls, adjusting the submersible's claws to grip the side of the ship carefully. Dr. Harrison watched her intently, his eyes wide with anticipation. "We're about to make history," he whispered, almost as if to himself. The submersible's claws clicked into place. Slowly, the hatch on the ship began to open with a soft hiss, as if the spaceship itself was alive and reacting to their presence. The moment the hatch opened, a flood of strange glowing lights filled the interior of the spaceship. For a second, everything was still, as though time itself had frozen. Then, without warning, the lights inside the ship flickered, and a low hum echoed through the submersible speakers. It was the unmistakable sound of machinery coming to life. The team's hearts skipped a beat. They had entered the unknown. Dr. Harrison and his team watched in awe as the inside of the spaceship was revealed. It was unlike anything they could have ever imagined. There were no sharp edges or hard, mechanical surfaces. Instead, the ship's walls were smooth and fluid-looking, almost as if they were made of organic material. The walls seemed to pulse, with an otherworldly glow, casting shadows that shifted like living things. "Look at that," Emily gasped, pointing at one corner of the room. There, embedded in the wall, was a strange symbol and intricate design that seemed to move, shifting like liquid. It looked nothing like human writing. In fact, it didn't look like anything on Earth at all. It was as if it was trying to communicate. "We need to document everything," Dr. Harrison said, his voice steady despite the awe in his eyes. "We don't know what we're dealing with here." The team cautiously stepped out of the submersible, their boots touching the spaceship's cool, metallic floor. Each step was measured, each breath taken with caution. They couldn't afford to make a mistake. Emily took out a small, handheld scanner and began to run it across the walls of the spaceship, her eyes scanning the readings. "This is impossible," she murmured under her breath. "The materials, they aren't just unknown. They're beyond anything we have on Earth. This technology could be millions of years ahead of ours." Dr. Harrison nodded slowly, deep in thought. He walked toward one of the large panels, carefully examining its surface. As his fingers traced the symbols, the panel began to respond. The lights inside the ship grew brighter, and the hum of the machinery became louder. It was as if the ship was alive, reacting to their presence. "That's it," Dr. Harrison muttered. "It's waking up." The panel in front of him began to glow even brighter, and soon a soft, melodic voice echoed through the ship. The scientists froze, each of them looking at one another, unsure if they had just imagined it. But the voice came again, clearer this time. It was a language none of them understood, yet somehow they all felt the meaning behind it. It's trying to communicate," Emily said, her voice filled with wonder. The room fell silent as the ship continued to pulse with light. The voice spoke again, but this time the sound seemed to carry a warning. It was as though the ship was warning them of something far bigger than they could comprehend. But before they could react, a sudden sound broke the silence. Something moving inside the ship, deep within its corridors. It was faint at first, but it grew louder with each passing second. The team rushed to the source of the sound. As they turned a corner, they found something they had never expected to see. At the center of the spaceship's control room stood a figure. It was unlike any human they had ever seen. The figure seemed to shimmer, almost translucent, standing in a still pose as if waiting for them to approach. "Is this an alien?" Emily whispered, her heart pounding. Dr. Harrison didn't know how to answer. His mind raced with questions, but one thing was certain. Whatever lay ahead, it would change everything. The spaceship, the alien presence, and the secrets within were only the beginning. They had unlocked the door to an unknown future. The first glimpse of the spaceship's hidden secrets. The team stood frozen for a moment, their eyes locked on the shimmering figure in front of them. The figure was unlike anything they could have imagined. It seemed to be made of light, or perhaps some sort of advanced material that appeared translucent, glowing faintly with an ethereal blue hue. It stood perfectly still, as if aware of their presence, but not reacting to it. Dr. Harrison was the first to break the silence. His voice was almost a whisper, filled with awe and confusion. "Is this some kind of stasis chamber? What is this thing?" Emily stepped forward, her eyes wide with both fear and curiosity. The figure didn't move as she got closer, its form frozen in a strange, almost peaceful pose. "It looks like it's waiting for something," she said, her voice trembling. But what could it be waiting for? As the team gathered around the figure, they noticed something even stranger. On the ground near it, there were a series of other strange devices, small, intricate artifacts. Some looked like tools, others appeared to be symbols, but they all seemed to be linked to the figure in some way. The soft hum from the ship had intensified, vibrating in the air as if the entire structure was alive, responding to their every movement. Dr. Harrison bent down to inspect one of the small objects. It looked like a tiny orb, glowing with a soft white light. He carefully picked it up, and as soon as his fingers touched it, the orb seemed to react, pulsing with an unexpected warmth. "Look at this," he said, holding the orb up to the light. "It's like it's alive. I've never seen anything like this before." Before anyone could respond, the atmosphere in the ship shifted. The hum grew louder, and the lights flickered, casting eerie shadows across the walls. For a split second, they thought they saw movement in the corners of the room, something darting just out of their line of sight. They all spun around, but the ship was still silent once more. "What was that?" Emily asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "I don't know," Dr. Harrison replied, his brow furrowing. "But I think we've just triggered something." Suddenly, the figure that had been motionless for so long began to change. Its form flickered, the light around it growing more intense. It started to stretch and shift, becoming more solid, more defined, as if the figure was waking up from a long slumber. The team gasped, stepping back instinctively. The voice came again. This time, it wasn't just a soft whisper, but a clear, haunting tone that filled the room. The language was unfamiliar, but there was an urgency in the way it was spoken. It was as though the voice was trying to convey something important, something they needed to understand. Then, the lights flared, and the ship began to react. Panels on the walls slid open, revealing strange consoles covered in alien writing. The air seemed to thrum with energy, and the entire room felt alive with movement. The spacecraft wasn't just waking up, it was coming to life. "What is this place?" Emily asked, her voice shaking. "It feels like the ship ... It's alive." "We need to keep our heads," Dr. Harrison said, trying to regain control of his emotions. He turned to the rest of the team. "Let's stay calm and see if we can figure out what's happening." The group moved cautiously toward the consoles, their hearts pounding in their chests. They had just unlocked the door to something far bigger than they could have ever imagined. And now, the ship seemed to be revealing its secrets, piece by piece. Emily stepped up to one of the glowing panels, her fingers hesitating over the controls. As she touched the surface, the symbols shifted, rearranging themselves in a way that made sense. It was as if the ship was responding to her touch, guiding her. "I think it's trying to communicate with us," she said in awe, her voice barely
Dr.
audible.
Harrison walked over
"These
to her,
symbols, peering at
They're
the symbols.
forming a message.
Can you translate it? What does it say?" Emily's eyes widened as she read aloud the symbols that had reformed into English. "Warning, the past is alive. The future is entwined with the unknown. We are the bridge to survival or extinction." The words sent a chill down their spines. "What does that mean?" Emily muttered, her mind racing. Before anyone could answer, the hum intensified once again. A new sound filled the air deep, resonant tone that echoed from the depths of the ship. The walls around them began to glow brighter, and an image appeared in the center of the room. It was a holographic projection of a distant galaxy, swirling with stars, planets, and unknown worlds. In the middle of the galaxy, an enormous planet loomed, an alien world unlike anything Earth had ever seen. That's not our solar system," Dr. Harrison whispered, his eyes glued to the image. "Where is this place?" The image shifted, zooming in on the planet. In the center of the planet was a massive structure, one that seemed to be connected to the very core of the planet itself. The ship's AI spoke again, its voice echoing in the room. "The key lies within the core of the dark world. It is here that we began, and here that we end." The message was cryptic, but one thing was clear. The spaceship, this alien vessel, was tied to a much larger story, one that stretched across galaxies and beyond their understanding. The scientists exchanged uneasy glances. They had only just scratched the surface of this mystery, but already it seemed that the answers they sought would come with unimaginable consequences. As the hologram flickered and disappeared, the voice spoke once more, this time directly to the team. "The time has come. Will you continue, or will you turn away? The path is yours to choose." The team stood in stunned silence, the weight of the message sinking in. The spaceship wasn't just an ancient relic from another world. It was a warning, and they were now part of a story that could change everything. Asterisk, a strange discovery, alien bodies or technology? The atmosphere inside the spaceship had become electric, charged with an energy that the team could feel deep in their bones. The hum of the ship echoed through the walls, vibrating through the air. Every time they thought they understood what was happening, something new would occur, each discovery more perplexing than the last. Dr. Harrison wiped the sweat from his brow as he stared at the now deactivated holographic display. The room felt colder than before, and he could feel a deep unease in the pit of his stomach. "We need to go deeper. This ship, it's not just ancient. It's alive in ways we don't understand yet. And I have a feeling we're about to." Uncover something that will change everything. The team nodded, each person silently agreeing with him. Emily, the chief technician, still had the orb in her hand, and it pulsed faintly in her palm. She wasn't sure why, but she felt drawn to it, as if the small object held some deeper secret. It was not just technology. It felt like a key, something that unlocked more than just the ship's compartments, but something far more profound. "Let's move on," Emily said, her voice steady but filled with excitement. "There's another door over there. It might lead us to more answers." The team gathered their equipment and moved deeper into the spaceship. They navigated through the dimly lit halls, which seemed to stretch endlessly, twisting in strange, impossible angles. It was as though the spaceship had been built with no regard for the laws of physics, a structure beyond human comprehension. The corridors themselves seemed to shift, making it hard to know if they were going forward or backward. Suddenly, the team came upon a large chamber, far larger than any they had explored so far. The floor was covered with what appeared to be a thick, crystalline substance that shimmered with an otherworldly glow. The walls of the chamber were lined with strange metallic pods, some of which were cracked open, revealing the remnants of what appeared to be bodies' alien forms, frozen in a stasis, preserved in time. Are these the crew?" Emily whispered, her voice filled with awe and disbelief. The bodies were unlike any species known to Earth. Their skin was translucent, almost gelatinous, and their limbs elongated in unnatural ways. Some had 6 arms, others had multiple eyes, and some seemed to be missing parts altogether, as though their bodies had been altered or damaged beyond recognition. Dr. Harrison carefully stepped forward, his heart racing. I don't think these are just alien bodies. They're part of the technology. These beings, they didn't just live here. They became part of the ship." Emily bent down to inspect one of the pods. "It's as if they integrated with the spacecraft, transforming themselves into something else. Some kind of biomechanical fusion. It's like they became the ship." A chill ran down their spines as they realized what they were seeing. The pods contained what seemed to be the last remnants of an alien race that had merged with their technology in a desperate attempt to survive. And now, thousands of years later, their bodies were still here preserved, but lifeless. It was as though they had been waiting for something or someone to awaken them. "This doesn't make sense," Dr. Harrison muttered. "Why would they do this? Why merge with technology like this?" As he spoke, Emily noticed something else, something that sent a jolt of fear through her. In the far corner of the chamber, another pod lay, untouched and sealed, but it was different. There was a faint glow emanating from it, and as she walked closer, the temperature in the room seemed to drop. "Wait, what's this?" Emily called out. "There's another one here, but it's different." The team moved quickly, their curiosity piqued. As they approached, Emily reached out to touch the pod. The moment her fingers made contact, the pod hissed, its surface reacting like it had been waiting for her touch. The glow intensified, and the pod slowly began to open. A sharp intake of breath filled the room. Inside the pod was not a body, but something far more shocking. A creature alive, breathing softly. It wasn't alien, at least not in the way they had expected. It was humanoid, but its skin was a mixture of dark metallic silver and something organic, pulsing with life. Its eyes fluttered open, revealing an intelligence far beyond anything they had encountered. Its gaze locked onto Emily, and for a moment, the world seemed to stop. What is this?" Emily stammered, stepping back in fear. "Is it alive?" Dr. Harrison took a cautious step forward, his voice trembling. "I think it is. This one is different. It wasn't a part of the ship's crew. This might be the last one." The creature, still disoriented, slowly sat up, its movements jerky but purposeful. It looked at each member of the team in turn, its gaze calculating. Then, as if recognizing something, it raised one hand, pointing toward a wall on the far side of the chamber. "It wants us to follow it," Emily said, her heart pounding in her chest. "But why?" Before anyone could answer, the creature stood up with surprising agility, its body glowing faintly as it took a few steps forward, its feet making no sound against the crystalline floor. The team followed instinctively, the sense of urgency now overwhelming. The creature led them through the twisting corridors, moving with a purpose, as if it knew exactly where it was going. And then, just as they thought they were nearing the end of the maze, they arrived at a final chamber. The walls of this room were covered in strange symbols, like a map of the stars, detailing worlds and systems far beyond their own. In the center of the room stood a large pedestal, atop which rested another object, a dark, spherical object, pulsating with an eerie energy. The creature stopped in front of the pedestal and turned to the team. Then, without warning, it spoke. "You have awakened us. The time is now. The galaxy's fate depends on your choice." The voice wasn't audible, but the words rang clear, inside their minds, as though the creature was speaking directly to them. And just like that, they realized something. They were no longer just explorers. They were part of something much larger. The secrets of the galaxy were within their grasp. But the choices they made now could alter the course of history forever. In this part, the mystery deepens with the discovery of the alien bodies and a living creature that seems to hold the key to the spaceship's true purpose. The suspense grows as the team uncovers more about the ship's unsettling history, while they're faced with the daunting realization that their involvement may be much more significant than they originally thought. Uncovering the ship's history, messages from the past, the creature's words echoed in their minds, reverberating through their thoughts like a distant thunderclap. "You have awakened us. The time is now. The galaxy's fate depends on your choice." It wasn't a question, nor a request. It was a statement, an undeniable truth that hung in the air like a weight they couldn't ignore. Dr. Harrison was the first to speak, his voice thick with disbelief and urgency. Did that creature just speak to us, directly into our minds?" Emily was still staring at the creature, her heart racing. "I think it did. But how? We didn't even touch it. It's communicating on a level beyond anything we can comprehend." The creature stood motionless before them, its glowing, metallic skin reflecting the pale light of the chamber. It hadn't moved since its telepathic message, yet it seemed more alive than ever, its eyes gleaming with intelligence, and perhaps even some recognition. The air felt charged with a strange kind of energy, as if the very ship itself was alive, listening, waiting. "Let's focus," Dr. Harrison said, trying to regain control. "We need to understand what it means. The galaxy's fate, that's not something we take lightly." The team stood silently for a moment, contemplating the gravity of the words they had just heard. Then the creature moved, its head turning slightly toward the pedestal. Without a word, it pointed toward the dark, pulsating sphere that sat there waiting. "Should we approach it?" Emily asked, her voice barely a whisper. "We have no choice," Dr. Harrison said, his voice firm but filled with uncertainty. "It's leading us. This ship was built for something much larger than any of us. We need to understand it if we want to survive." Cautiously, they moved toward the pedestal. The moment they stepped closer, the sphere emitted a soft hum, vibrating with energy that seemed to resonate deep within their bodies. It was as though the sphere had been waiting for them, anticipating their arrival. As Dr. Harrison reached out and touched the sphere, the entire chamber seemed to come alive. The walls began to hum in unison with the sphere's pulse, and the Symbols that covered the walls began to shift, rearranging themselves like a living language. Then, as if the ship itself had awakened, a holographic projection appeared before them. It was a map of the stars, of galaxies, and worlds stretching out in front of them like a vast cosmic web. Each point on the map pulsed with light. Symbol of a planet, a star system, or something far more mysterious. And then, at the very center of the map, one point glowed brighter than the rest. It was marked with an ominous symbol, a large, dark circle with intersecting lines radiating outward. This ... double quotes, Emily gasped. This is a star system. But why does this one glow so much brighter than the others? Dr. Harrison stared at the map, his breath caught in his throat. He recognized that symbol. It wasn't just a star system. It was the heart of the galaxy, the center of an ancient, forgotten civilization. This ... this is the origin, the birthplace of the ship. As they studied the map, the creature moved toward the hologram. It raised its hand, and the image shifted, zooming in on the dark star system. The planets surrounding it were barren, lifeless, yet there was something hidden beneath their surface. Something that radiated power, far older than any known civilization. This is where it began. The creature's voice echoed in their minds once more. This is where they fell. Them? Emily repeated, confused. Who fell? Who are you talking about? The creature's eyes gleamed with sadness, and the ship responded to its emotions. The map flickered, revealing more details, a large metallic structure on one of the barren planets. But the structure was unlike any building they had ever seen. It was a vast, monolithic tower, buried deep within the planet's surface, its energy still pulsing with life after millennia of abandonment. This is the core of everything, Dr. Harrison said, his voice barely above a whisper. The origin of the ancient alien race that created the ship. They built it, and they fell. But something happened here, something catastrophic. The creature seemed to bow its head, acknowledging Dr. Harrison's realization. It then stepped toward the pedestal, its hand hovering over the sphere. As if recognizing its touch, the hologram shifted again, showing images of a violent, destructive event, explosions, cosmic storms, and a planet in chaos. We were the last of our kind. The creature's voice spoke in their minds. We were the guardians, the keepers of knowledge, but we failed. Our time has passed. The projection showed the planet, once full of life, now reduced to a barren wasteland. The once great civilization was gone, their technology scattered across the galaxy like broken pieces of a forgotten dream. The ship they had created was their last hope, a vessel designed to carry their knowledge, to preserve their legacy. But now it was empty. The creature, the last of its kind, had been left behind to guard the ship until the day it would awaken once more. We ... we failed, the creature repeated, its voice heavy with sorrow. And now you are the last hope. You must decide, will you repeat the mistakes of the past, or will you change the course of history? The message was clear. The ship had been built for a purpose that involved the survival of the galaxy. But that purpose had been lost to time, and the consequences of failure had become a warning for humanity. Dr. Harrison looked around at his team. They were the chosen ones, the ones who had stumbled upon this ancient, forgotten history. They had been pulled into a story that was far beyond them, one that could reshape the future of the galaxy, for better or worse. But the question remained. Could they change the future, or were they doomed to repeat the same mistakes that led to the fall of this once great civilization? Let's get to work, Dr. Harrison said quietly, his voice filled with a new sense of purpose. We have a galaxy to save. In this part, the team uncovers the ancient history of the spaceship and its creators, revealing the collapse of an alien civilization and their desperate attempts to survive. The ship's mysterious purpose is now clear. It was built to preserve. Their knowledge and humanity's choices will determine the galaxy's fate. The suspense heightens as they realize the gravity of their discovery and the weight of the decision they must make. Alien intelligence awakens. A threat or a message? The walls of the spaceship trembled, a low vibration shaking the floor beneath. Their feet as the creature's final words lingered in their minds. You must decide, will you repeat the mistakes of the past, or will you change the course of history? The weight of those words settled heavily over Dr. Harrison and his team. They had just uncovered the truth about the ship and the lost alien civilization, but they hadn't yet begun to understand the full consequences of their discovery. Dr. Harrison, look at this. Emily's voice cut through the tension as she stepped toward one of the consoles in the room. The pale blue lights of the ship flickered in response to her touch. This isn't just a control panel. It's a command interface, and it's been activated. The console hummed softly as symbols and alien writing began to appear across. The screen shimmering like liquid metal. The symbols twisted and danced in ways that felt almost hypnotic. But something felt off. An unnatural presence seemed to seep from the panel, as though the very air around them had become thicker, denser. Dr. Harrison stepped forward, his brow furrowed. What's happening? What's it trying to tell us? Emily pressed a sequence of symbols, her fingers flying across the glowing interface. As she did, a series of images began to materialize in the air visions of long-forgotten battles. Massive ships battling in the vastness of space, and entire planets crumbling under the weight of explosions. One image in particular stood out, a dark figure at the center of it all, standing against a storm of destruction. Its face was obscured, but its energy pulsed with a power that felt both terrifying and alluring. The ship is showing us history, Emily whispered. But it's not just the past. It's showing us the future, the outcome of our choices. A cold shiver ran down the spine of every team member. Dr. Harrison stepped closer, his voice quiet but resolute. Is this what the creature meant? Is this our choice? Will we face this same destruction if we don't act? As they watched the holographic display, the images began to fade, replaced by a deep, unsettling silence. Then, without warning, the ship's AI activated its voice, sharp and mechanical, filled the room. Warning: unauthorized access detected. Initiating security protocols. The lights dimmed, and the hum of the ship grew louder, almost to the point of pain. The air turned electric, crackling with energy. The team looked around, alarmed. What's happening? Emily shouted, her voice filled with panic. The creature, still standing motionless in the center of the room, seemed to react. It began to glow more intensely, its body pulsating as if absorbing the ship's energy. For a moment, it looked like it might collapse, but then it stood taller, more powerful. Its eyes locked with Dr. Harrison's. Do not fear, it spoke directly into their minds once again. I will help you. The ship is not an ally to those who seek destruction, but it is an ally to those who seek to protect. Emily took a step back, shaking her head. Protect us from what? The creature's voice echoed in their minds once again, but this time it carried a sense of urgency. The enemy is coming. Dr. Harrison, his heart racing, could feel the weight of those words. He had sensed it before, the unease, the pressure building within the ship. He had always suspected that the alien race had left more than just their technology behind. They had left something far more dangerous, a warning. But who or what was the enemy? And why had it been waiting? Suddenly, a blinding flash of light erupted from the console. The room was filled with a deafening sound, a sharp crack like thunder splitting the air. When the light faded, the team found themselves standing in a new chamber, an entirely different part of the ship. The walls were covered in intricate symbols, but these symbols were unlike anything they had seen before. They were dark, sharp, and jagged, as if carved with intent to harm. In the center of the room was a massive circular device, its surface covered with the same alien writing, but now glowing red, pulsing with energy. It looked like a gateway, but a dangerous one. Emily's voice trembled. "What is this?" The creature, which had followed them into the room, stepped forward. Its form flickered, and for a brief moment, it looked like it was something entirely different, more ominous, more powerful. "This is the source," it said, its voice cold. "The weapon that was meant to protect the galaxy from destruction. But, in the wrong hands, it is a weapon of unimaginable power." Dr. Harrison's mind raced as he studied the device. A weapon? But who would use it for destruction? The creature turned its glowing eyes toward him. "You must understand the civilization that created this ship did so to defend against a force that sought to consume everything. But their arrogance led to their fall. They tried to control something they couldn't understand. And now, the same force is coming again, and it seeks to use the power of this ship to bring chaos to the galaxy." For a moment, the room fell silent. The air was thick with tension as the reality of their situation set in. They weren't just dealing with ancient history. They were dealing with a present danger. The very enemy the alien race had once feared was coming for them. "We need to stop it," Dr. Harrison said, his voice firm. "We can't let this weapon fall into the wrong hands. We need to find a way to prevent this destruction." The creature nodded, but there was something in its eyes, something darker. "The weapon is not just a force to be used by others. It has its own intelligence. It can choose its path, and sometimes it chooses destruction." Dr. Harrison's blood ran cold as the full weight of their discovery sank in. This wasn't just about uncovering the truth of an ancient race. It was about preventing an apocalypse. The very weapon that had once protected the galaxy was now a ticking time bomb, and they were standing at the center of it. The creature turned to face them, its glowing eyes filled with both sorrow and determination. "The choice is yours. You can try to control it, or you can choose to destroy it. But know this, the fate of the galaxy is in your hands, and you must decide quickly, for time is running out." In this part, the story takes a dramatic turn as the team realizes the ship isn't just a relic, it's a weapon of unimaginable power. The creature, once a mere guide, becomes an ominous figure, hinting at the dire consequences of awakening this ancient force. The tension rises as the team faces the choice of whether to control or destroy the weapon, knowing that the fate of the galaxy hangs in the balance. The stakes have never been higher, and the story takes on a unique, high-stakes adventure with deeper mysteries. The hidden power. A choice between destruction and salvation. The ship's air was thick with tension. The hum now a low, almost primal growl, reverberating through the walls. The weight of the creature's words lingered like a storm, about to break. "The fate of the galaxy is in your hands." The team stood motionless in the heart of the ship, their eyes fixed on the ominous device before them. The weapon, a force that had been designed to protect, but had now become something far darker. Something that could destroy everything. Dr. Harrison's heart raced as he scanned the device. It wasn't just a machine. It was something far more complex, something that seemed to pulse with a malevolent energy of its own. The glowing red symbols across its surface twisted, as though alive, reacting to the presence of the team. The creature watched them, its glowing eyes filled with an unspoken urgency. "We can't just destroy it," Dr. Harrison said quietly, his voice tight. "This is the key. If we destroy it, we erase the last chance for the galaxy. But if we try to control it, who knows what kind of destruction we could unleash." Emily, still holding the glowing orb, stepped forward, her fingers trembling as they brushed across the device's surface. But if we leave it here, we risk giving someone else access to it. If the wrong hands get hold of this power, we may never see another day. The creature's voice was low, almost mournful. The ship was built by those who sought to control time itself. Their arrogance was their undoing. They believed they could master the universe's most dangerous forces. Now, those forces are stirring once more. You must decide, control or destroy. Either way, the power within this ship will shape the future of everything. There was a moment of silence. The air felt heavy, as if the ship itself were holding its breath. The team exchanged uncertain glances, each one wondering if they were about to make the worst decision of their lives. Then, the ship shuddered again. The lights flickered, and the walls seemed to warp around them. It wasn't just the weapon. Something else was happening. "Look!" Emily shouted, her voice filled with alarm. "The map, it's shifting." The map on the wall, which had previously displayed a static image of galaxies and star systems, began to change. New planets appeared, their surfaces marked with red, warning symbols. Entire star systems were blinking, each of them becoming surrounded by ominous clouds. A soft whirring sound filled the room as the map zoomed in on a single, familiar system, the system they had first discovered at the center of the galaxy dot, but now it was surrounded by a growing, pulsating energy like a storm gathering strength. And at the heart of the storm was the dark star system with the monolithic tower, the planet that had once been home to the ancient civilization. That's not just a map," Dr. Harrison whispered, stepping forward. "It's showing. Use the future. The storm, it's coming. The power of the weapon is calling it forth. It's not just a threat from the past. It's something that's been building in the galaxy, and now it's about to be unleashed." Emily's face turned pale. "You mean this isn't just about protecting the galaxy? This weapon is the key to something much worse. The galaxy is already under attack." The creature's eyes flashed with an intensity that filled the room with a silent understanding. Yes, the force that was sealed away by the ancients is awakening. The weapon was meant to contain it, to keep it from spreading, but now it is starting to break free. If you do not act, the storm will consume everything in its path, and it will spread across the galaxy like wildfire. "But," Emily said, her voice trembling, "if we try to control it, we may unleash the very thing we're trying to stop." "Yes," the creature replied. "The power within this ship is sentient. It can think for itself. It can choose its course, and it will use the strength of the weapon to either destroy or protect. But it cannot remain dormant forever. It has already sensed you. It knows you are here. It will call to you. It will test you, and it will see if you are worthy." Dr. Harrison stood in front of the pedestal, his mind racing with calculations, possibilities, and consequences. The map now displayed flashing warnings, darkening planets that had once been prosperous, all now in the path of this mysterious force. There was no easy decision. If they destroyed the weapon, they might save the galaxy from an impending catastrophe, but they would also erase humanity's greatest hope for the future, an unimaginable power that could shape the universe itself. "Do we risk it?" Dr. Harrison asked, his voice steady despite the chaos unfolding around them. "If we try to control it, we could become the very thing we're trying to stop. But if we destroy it..." The creature's eyes dimmed, its voice softer now, almost mournful. "The galaxy has always been at war with itself. The ancients knew this. They tried to harness the power to restore balance. But balance cannot be controlled. It must come naturally. Now, you face the same choice they did. Control or chaos. Will you trust in your own judgment, or will you rely on the power within your grasp?" Suddenly, the ship began to shake violently, the lights flickering like storm. Clouds in the sky. A deep rumbling sound echoed through the chambers as a pulse of energy surged from the weapon, filling the room with an overwhelming pressure. Dr. Harrison staggered back, gripping the pedestal for support. "Something's coming," Emily shouted, her voice hoarse with fear. "It's waking up. The storm, the energy from the weapon, it's calling something." Without warning, a low, growling sound filled the room. The air turned icy cold, and the walls cracked open, revealing a deep, cavernous space beyond the hidden chamber beneath. The ship, as the light dimmed, the team saw dark shapes moving in the shadows. They weren't just the remnants of the ancients. These were living entities, their forms flickering in and out of existence, their eyes glowing with malevolent intent. Who are they?" Emily gasped. "They are the Harbingers," the creature answered, its voice a whisper now. "They are the ones who seek to use the weapon's power to bring about the end of all things. And they have come for you. The Harbingers, creatures from the depths of space, born from chaos, were now standing between the team and their choice. The time for decisions had come. But which path would they take? Would they control the weapon and risk becoming what they feared? Or would they destroy it and face the consequences of losing the galaxy's greatest hope? As the creatures drew closer, Dr. Harrison made the decision. "Prepare yourself," he said, his voice grim. "We have to stop them before it's too late." In this part, Kazi, the stakes are raised as the team faces the potential awakening of a destructive force, the Harbingers, an ancient race that seeks to use the ship's weapon to bring chaos to the galaxy. With a force that can either save or destroy, the team must confront not only the choices they face, but also the dark entities that now seek to prevent them from making a decision. The tension builds as they prepare for the final confrontation, leaving the fate of the galaxy hanging in the balance. Asterisk. The final decision. The truth revealed the Harbingers were getting closer. Their figures, shadowy and indistinct, seemed to ripple like liquid shadows as they moved through the dimly lit chamber. Each one was unlike anything the team had seen before, ethereal, yet terrifying, with glowing eyes that pierced through the darkness. Their presence felt suffocating, as though the very air itself had thickened with malice. "We don't have much time," Dr. Harrison said, his voice hoarse. "The Harbingers are drawn to the power within the ship. They seek to control it for their own destruction. But they're not here just to take it. They're here to destroy us." Emily clutched the orb tighter, its faint pulse in sync with the escalating energy in the room. "If we don't stop them, we'll be caught in the middle of a war we're not ready for." The ship shuddered again, its walls groaning under the strain of the growing tension. The dark shapes moving through the shadows. These creatures were not just soldiers or enemies. They were a manifestation of an ancient malevolent force that had been waiting for the right moment to awaken. And now that moment had come. The creature, still standing in the center of the room, flickered and pulsed. Its once steady glow was now erratic, as though the presence of the Harbingers was weakening it. "I cannot hold them back for much longer," it said, its voice strained. "The choice is still yours." "Destroy the weapon?" Emily asked, her voice trembling. "Or control it? What if we fail either way?" The creature's eyes dimmed, and it took a slow step forward. "Control is dangerous. The weapon itself is a sentient force. It chooses its path. The Harbingers understand this. They do not seek to use the weapon. They seek to become the weapon." Dr. Harrison's heart sank. "Become the weapon?" "Yes," the creature whispered. "The Harbingers are not like you. They are born from chaos. They are the void itself created to consume, to rewrite reality as they see fit. They want the weapon to merge with them, to amplify their power. In doing so, they would wipe out all order in the galaxy, turning it into nothing but endless destruction." The weight of the revelation hit them like a tidal wave. This wasn't just about a weapon. It was about the balance of the entire universe. The Harbingers weren't merely enemies. They were a force of nature, a cosmic chaos that sought to tear apart everything in its path. "We have to stop them," Dr. Harrison said, determination rising in his voice. "If they become the weapon, there will be no galaxy left to save." But how? The ship trembled once more, and this time it wasn't just the Harbinger's presence that was causing the disturbance. It was the weapon itself, pulsing with energy, almost as if it were reacting to their conversation. The red symbols on its surface began to swirl in an intricate pattern, as if beckoning them to make their decision. "Maybe the answer isn't to destroy or control it," Emily said, a sudden thought striking her. "Maybe we have to change the way we think about it. If the weapon is sentient, if it chooses its path, then maybe we can help guide it. Help it choose the right path." The creature's eyes flared, its form flickering as if intrigued by her words. "You would trust the weapon?" it asked. "You would trust that it will make the right choice?" "We have no other choice," Dr. Harrison replied. "We can't just destroy it or let the Harbingers take control. The weapon is a force of nature, but it's not evil. It's been used to protect before. Maybe we can help it understand that it's not about power. It's about balance." The creature's form flickered again, and for a long moment it seemed to consider their words. Then, with a solemn nod, it stepped aside, as if acknowledging their choice. "Very well," it said. "I will guide you, but understand this. The path you choose will have consequences. If you fail, the galaxy will fall into chaos. But if you succeed, you may be able to restore balance." The ship shook violently, the walls groaning as the weapon's power surged. The Harbingers were close now, their shadows moving faster, more aggressive. But the team had made their decision. "Let's try it," Dr. Harrison said, his voice steady despite the fear. "We have to connect with the weapon. We need to guide it before the Harbingers do." The creature moved toward the pedestal where the dark sphere rested. Its body flickered as it seemed to merge with the ship's energy, casting an eerie glow across the room. It extended one hand toward the sphere, its fingers brushing the surface. "Focus," the creature's voice echoed in there. "Minds. The weapon listens to your thoughts, to your intentions. You must guide it with pure intent, or it will choose destruction." Dr. Harrison took a deep breath, stepping forward. He placed his hand on the pedestal, the sphere pulsing beneath his touch. For a moment, everything was still, and then suddenly the sphere reacted. A brilliant surge of light shot up from the sphere, expanding outward like a shockwave. The ship trembled as the energy began to crackle, the very fabric of space seeming to bend around them. The Harbingers howled, their figures writhing in the light, but the energy was too much. The Harbingers recoiled, their forms flickering violently. As though the power of the weapon was pushing them back, the team's hearts raced as they felt the weight of the decision in their hands. The weapon was alive now, choosing its path, but the direction it would take depended on their intent, their belief in what was right. Then, in a flash of light, everything went silent. The team stood in the heart of the ship, breathing heavily. The weapon's energy had dissipated, leaving only an eerie calm in its wake. The Harbingers were gone, vanished. And the weapon was still waiting. Did we do it?" Emily asked, her voice trembling with exhaustion. Dr. Harrison looked at the creature, which was now flickering in and out of existence. "Yes," it said, its voice fading. "You have made the right choice. The weapon has chosen to protect. The galaxy is safe for now." But the creature's final words left a lingering doubt in the air. "But remember this. The balance is fragile. You may have won this battle, but the true test lies ahead. Be vigilant. The storm is not truly gone. It is only waiting for the right moment to return." The creature vanished into the ship's energy, leaving the team alone in the darkened chamber. They had made the choice to guide the weapon, and for now, the galaxy was safe. But the storm, like the weapon itself, was never truly gone. And the galaxy's fate, it seemed, would always hang in the balance. In this part, the team faces the final confrontation with the Harbingers and the weapon, making a bold decision to guide the weapon toward balance rather than control or destruction. In the end, they succeed, but the creature leaves a final warning while they've won this battle. The true test is yet to come, as the balance of the galaxy remains fragile. The story ends on a cliffhanger, leaving room for future challenges and adventures. Thanks for watching this video.